For this video, I will be walking you through one of the interactive notebooks that we made at a summer training that we presented. And if you have further questions on any of the content that you see here, because it's going to be a quick look, please know that we will offer many further trainings on this topic and will be available to give you more details on anything that you see in here. So this started off with the table of contents, and I know that we talked a little bit about this earlier. So thinking about, we have all of our topics that we have in this notebook, and it has the page numbers that can be found on to just kind of start your journal off. Next, we have, this was part of our PD, the essential questions we had. But beginning here is where we started with a topic, and the first topic was actually place value. So for this section, we had a space to hold a laminated place value chart here that kids could use throughout the year, because we want to be reviewing place value all the time. So they could pull it out, it was laminated, they could write on it, work through it. We had a manipulative storage feature here, storing our place value discs. I have a video on that as well if you need to learn how to use place value discs. They are a great manipulative tool for place value for any grade, really. So the kids store them here with them, and they actually fit really well on this mat. So we were working back and forth between the two, and then the kids had these discs in an envelope in their journal for the rest of the school year that they could use if they ever needed to go back to them. From here, we had a piece of duct tape that you're going to see on this next page. And I'm not sure if you know this trick, but duct tape you can actually use with dry erase markers. So we actually had our expos out and we were erasing with napkins, and we were practicing expanded notation over and over again right here on the duct tape in our journal, so the kids could work over and over again. Then we had our place value chart where we recorded our final notes and thoughts. We had a little bit of a graphic organizer here capturing some of the stuff that we worked on with place value. From there, we had a closing piece on the place value section, and this could be used as a quick little informal assessment where they're actually journaling and reflecting. So it was just a little assessment at the end of, maybe a couple days worth of practicing expanded form, where they talked about what is the process of writing 542 in expanded form, and the kids would write in their own words how they would write it. And so they're going to take them through the steps, and this person actually drew some little place value discs to refer back to. So they're processing their learning, they're recapturing it, they're summarizing what they have done throughout those lessons there. We have some storage here. We made a lot of these pockets for holding different notes and handouts in the journals. We have a 100 chart here, and this is laminated as well, so kids can write on it over and over again. They can look for patterns, they can add and subtract on it, they can talk about factors, they can use this throughout the year, of course, so that's why we laminated it. From here, we also have more storage. So we have a star reference chart pocket here. In the star grades, we should be using that reference chart all the time. So I believe these were laminated as well. They have them just ready to use whenever they need them. And they also have their problem-solving strategy cards here. So these had cards with the different strategies they might attack a problem with, such as drawing a picture or acting it out, and other problem-solving strategies. That way they can remember. The cool thing about having all these tools stored in their journal, like the place value discs, like the place value chart, like a star reference chart, is that they can take these journals with them everywhere. They can take these with them to the computer lab. They can take them to centers. They can take them to small group work on the carpet. And they have all the tools they need in one central location versus, having to pull out folders and journals and Ziplocs and who knows what else. This journal alone can travel around the classroom with them and has all that they need. That's the point of it. From there, we have some more tools here, such as an open number line where kids can practice representing on a number line, whole numbers, decimals, fractions. It is laminated so they can do dry erase and try over and over again. We also have grid paper here, laminated. We can use that on the STAR test. So I say use that as a tool all year. You can practice place value on grid paper. You can use it for fractions on grid paper. Different strategies of calculations. They can use that grid paper for many things. So having it ready to use as a dry erase tool is a great feature for them to have. Then we got into some foldables. So as we've talked about, we want to have foldables with authentic student writing and reflection and processing. So under these flaps, it kind of has some student work, some student examples of working through representing numbers in different forms. We also have a foldable, or this is a graphic organizer, Frere models, where kids are working with words, drawing pictures of the words, writing examples, thinking about what it looks like in a problem, whatever you might have them do for their Frere models, but more than just the definition. From here, we have some more foldables. This was types of graphs foldables. And so here the kids, again, under the flaps are writing, reflecting, processing, answering questions, journaling, thinking through the graphs. Again, not just only definitions or just answers. It's a lot of authentic student work. We have the next page is representing multiplication in different ways. And so all the third grade TEKS have them represent multiplication in these ways. So again, just another example of student work, student processing, models for them to refer back to. Then we got into some problem solving strategies. So here it's giving kids a problem and having them really work with it, wrestle with it, work through it. So they're writing down what they notice in a problem, what they're wondering, making some predictions, what is happening, just writing solution statements, just getting their thinking down on paper of really what they're going through and tackling with a problem. Parts of information, what they would share with their partner, showing their work, just a lot of pieces of sharing, working, processing with word problems. We had a geometry section here where we went into the attributes of 2D shapes. And so under these polygons, you're going to see, number of vertices, number of sides, other attributes, parallel lines, perpendicular lines, whatever else they wanted to talk about for the day, but they have it stored. Kids can touch the vertices and sides, feel it, and then they have these manipulatives for the rest of the year. We also did 3D shapes, so looking at the polygons and figures that make up those 3D shapes, labeling them, they have them where they can work with them and touch them for the rest of the year. One thing that we have in here is a ribbon that we actually glued into our journal, and I'll show you in the back in a second. But it's a great little tool for a placeholder for kids. If it always takes kids a really long time to find the next clean page in their journal. This is a great way for them to keep their place where they're at, and it's just something that is helpful for kids. So the very last thing that we had at the back of the journal was I talked about the duct tape being a dry erase board. Well, a lot of the teachers at our training were just blown away by this concept. And so many of them chose to actually fill the whole back page of their journal with duct tape, and they used it as an interactive whiteboard. So they could use it for student work, for them to do their scratch work, which would be really helpful in the computer lab, right? They can take it with them. They could use it as an answer whiteboard to show up in class. They can use it for so many things. So that's a handy little way to make a whiteboard in the back of your journal. And then there's where we glued the ribbon that we talked about earlier. We hot glued it down. The adults obviously would do it for kids. And then they had their place marker. So those are all the features of this interactive notebook. I know it's just ideas, and these are just a few topics. If you could imagine doing things like this for every topic we encounter, that would be our end goal. But those are some ideas of what's occurring.